If everybody can take their seats. It's great to see such a great crowd.
Sorry, Paul. We want to see you. Do you want to sit up there? No, it's okay.
Okay, we're going to get started. I want to welcome everybody to the 8th annual meeting of the Brookline Community Aging Network. We've had 7 before, and now we've had 8. In 2010, the group was formed in order to have support for people in town who were older adults and also help others. It was formed as a town-wide organization with volunteers only. And its main aims were advocacy, which is somewhat unusual for organizations like this, innovation, and we've been doing a lot of that over the years, and collaboration, and that's all of you people and everybody else in town, as we keep people informed of what's happening, and everybody works together to accomplish things. Tonight we're celebrating the age-friendly businesses of Brookline. BrooklineCAN has started few months ago actually, started a campaign of identifying age-friendly businesses in town and publishing them. And they keep coming in, and it's pretty exciting. This is being done in other cities too. This is done in Washington, New York, and now Boston's jumped on the bandwagon a little after we did, but they're learning. The co-sponsors of the campaign are the Brookline Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Advisory Board, EDAB. In addition, there will be a panel tonight, and we'll have Paul Sainer from EDAB, and we're going to have some business people from town that are clearly age-friendly and have a good concept of what that means and what it means to Brookline. But first of all, I'd like to start with our very well-known and appreciated head of the Senior Center and co-chair of the BrooklineCAN organization, Ruth Ann Dobek.
Thank you, Matt. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Brookline Senior Center and this annual meeting of Brookline Community Aging Network. I am fortunate to be in a magical place, the town of Brookline, where collaboration is second nature, commitment to community is a mantra, and service to all is our endeavor. I don't know if you remember the movie Field of Dreams. Yeah, it was a great movie, and there was that line, "If you build it, they will come." Brookline knows that there is a field of dreams, and it is the commitment of people in this room and those who can't be here this evening, like our select board who are meeting, but we all work together, whether it's the businesses, the social service agencies, the town officials, and most importantly, the citizens. You, the volunteers who bring us to be aware of how important it is to make this community be strong for all. Yes, we care about our older adults, but whatever we do in service for them is to strengthen the entire community. So that is why advocacy is essential, as well as the services and programs that we do every day. I heard even here today, as people were going around to the vendors, what's wrong with the sidewalks? Can't we have better transportation? Can I volunteer at the schools? All of these initiatives get generated by you, the community. The magic happens when you bring it to us and we work together to make achievements. That is the essential goal of the Brookline Community Aging Network with its founding partners, the Brookline Senior Center, Goddard Assisted Living, Jewish Family and Children's Services, and Hebrew Senior Life Center communities. All of you are integral to ensuring that the achievements listed in your program book for this year and past years continue to happen. Take it home, read it. If you have an idea, bring it to our attention. Even better, if you want to work on an issue, find us. Come to one of our meetings, email, call, make a suggestion. That's where the magic will happen, and if you build it, they will come. In closing, as any organization, we're always looking for extra money and fundraising. We are doing a raffle this evening of 50-50, and look for Karen Fisher. She's selling the raffle tickets, and there you go, Karen, great. There's still an opportunity to get your cash in there, and the winner will be drawn this evening. I was supposed to thank the band, but again, that was the Brookline High Jazz Band. Weren't they fabulous? They're gone to their studies, but of course. And I also want to take a minute to thank the committee that puts together this evening. Hard work to make sure that it all gets done. And a special shout out to the Brookline Senior Center staff who start tearing down the building at 1 p.m. so that it can be put together for this evening. Again, it's my pleasure to welcome you here this evening. We are so proud to work with our business community, our partners with town officials, and again, all of you active, senior, and younger citizens who make this town special. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready to join. Oh, I'm a member, I can't, okay.
You can renew.
I can renew, I renew. Yeah, that's what the mantra, renew. The key goal, in fact, of this meeting is to bring new people in. The people who are here are all working, they're excited, they're involved. But the idea is new people to realize things like age-friendly businesses exist, that we work with the people in town, and how much you can do if you're a member of this group. So to bring in members, I'm going to bring up the treasurer of the organization, who's very concerned with bringing in members, and he would like to introduce the how and the why of signing up.
Hi, I'm John.
John C.
Everybody say hi, John. Hi, John. Okay, now that we're friends, can I ask you for money? Some of you may be asking, what will happen if I join BrooklineCAN? And the answer, for the most part, is nothing. Most of what we do for the community, and you can take advantage of it whether you want to, whether you're a member or not. Let me just have a show of hands. How many people are members? A lot of you. You can go to sleep now. I want to talk to the rest of you. Ruth Ann talked about advocacy. We do a lot of things that the Senior Center can't do. The Senior Center and the Council on Aging are town employees. So going around and asking the town to do something different isn't really appropriate for them. But we're all volunteers, so we can do whatever we want. Among the things we do is look after and this is just 3. I couldn't fit more on this slide. We look after sidewalk safety, including prompt snowplow removal, adequate lighting, and good repair. The town provides a way of reporting these things. And if you report them, they'll listen. But if you don't report them, they'll go on and do something else because they have plenty to do. And so we have people, particularly in the wintertime, but all the time, who in their travels, if they find something that needs reporting, they'll report it. And it gets attention. Another thing we do is, and this is pretty much done now, if you have caregivers that have to stay overnight in Brookline, that's a problem because there's no overnight parking in Brookline. But now overnight caregivers can get permits to stay overnight. Isn't that a good thing to do, even if you don't need caregivers? And recently we, for a long time now, the town has had a bicycle advisory committee. We added a pedestrian advisory committee, which serves the needs of seniors and really everybody who walks on the sidewalks, which is all of us for one time or another. And that's another good thing we can do. Now, if you don't join BrooklineCAN, we're still going to do that. But don't you want to support those efforts? Really? And if you want to do more than, we keep our membership low because we want to attract a lot of people, so we want to make it affordable. So membership is one thing. We like to have a lot of people on our list so that when we go to the town, we say we represent all of these people. Right now we're about 400, we'd like to be 1,000. So join BrooklineCAN. Are there membership committee members that are willing to, who are ready to take memberships at the end of the meeting? Yeah. Yep. So see them at the end of the meeting and they can sign you right up. If you want to go a little bit further, and I recommend it, it's kind of fun. There are things you can do if you want to contribute more than money, but you want to contribute time. Ruth Ann talked about advocacy. We work on a very cooperative basis with the town. We aren't their adversary, but they listen to what we say. We also do website and database development. That's kind of my thing, but I'm always looking for help. We do program and event planning, like this event. We do writing and editing for our newsletter, for our website, for news releases, and various other things. So if you have writing talents, in particular, we're looking for somebody with graphic design talents to help with the publications that we put out. And we work constantly at recruiting and maintaining new members. So, join BrooklineCAN if you're not already a member. See the people who raised their hands before, or if you want to, go on our website, brooklinecan.org, and you can sign up online there. Thanks.
Thanks, John. And the website is great. I mean, I enjoy it. We also, just to let you know, we also have, you probably have seen it, Facebook and Twitter, and we have BrooklineCAN accounts on both of those, and they're very active and busy. And the idea is to keep informed everybody in town, so when they're aware of things that are happening, they can step up themselves. They can support it on their own, even if they're not members. They can come in and help. And they can be aware of what's happening, even if they're sitting in their home, even if they're not coming near the senior center, even if the only place they ever go is to the movies, or they go out and leave town and go a lot of other places. They can be completely informed, they can be completely involved, and if they're members, they will get constant emails and information about what's happening in town. So it's worth it. I mean, I find it's worth it. One of the reasons I find it's worth it is that just before, when I first retired, I was drawn into this thing by someone who was completely involved in both the town BrooklineCAN, age friendliness, and that's Frank Carroll. And Frank's going to come up. So I'll thank Frank, and now we'll bring Frank up to thank a lot of other people that have done things for both the community and for BrooklineCAN.
Thanks, Matt. I want to begin by recognizing some of the volunteers who have helped with the Age-Friendly Business campaign. It turns out, we're very pleased that we have over 40 Brookline businesses that have signed on to our campaign. But really the key to getting them to sign on was to have our volunteers who visited them and explain to them what our initiative was about and encouraging them to join. And I just want to ask, I'm going to read their names. I'm going to ask them to stand up. Carol Siebert, Jerry Foyer, Matt Weiss, Melissa Trevette, who's not here, and Rennie Harrigan. They're the people who have really made all the difference in this campaign. I'm very, very appreciative of their work. We want to recognize some of the people, some of our members who have provided extraordinary service. I want to begin with Molly Turlish, who chaired our membership committee. Molly, would you come forward, please? We have an orchid for Molly, but the orchid is very so densely packed in the container that we're going to need somebody with artistic and mechanical skills to here we have a plaque suitable for hanging on the wall. It says for her commitment and leadership as chair of the membership committee. So, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Julie. So the next person we want to recognize is Marsha Frankel, who has been with us as a volunteer for many years and has served on and off on the steering committee. When she went off the steering committee the last time, we failed to recognize her. So Marsha, would you come forward, please? We have for you another one of these. Wait. Look, we get our. Did we embarrass that picture? Thank you. The other person who has retired from our steering committee is Susan Krinsky. I haven't spotted Susan here, so perhaps she's not here. We have a nice orchid for her, but we'll have to give it to her on another occasion. We now reached the point in the program where we are presenting our community service awards, and the first of these goes to the Brookline Chamber of Commerce. And I'm hoping we have I know we have representatives of the Brookline Chamber of Commerce here, and we need one courageous soul to step forward and to receive this, who is willing to have a photograph taken. Who is going to step forward?
Debbie will be shy. Debbie and Craig.
Craig and Debbie.
So do we have a nice certificate, Henry?
It's down, it's below you. It's in the
Below?
bag, on the other side of the podium.
Oh, look at that. Nope, this one. So we have nice text here. We say, we honor the Brookline Chamber of Commerce for their work in helping to inform Brookline businesses about our age-friendly business campaign and encouraging businesses to join the campaign. So, Debbie, we're happy to present this to you. So next we're going to recognize the Economic Development Advisory Board, and Paul Sainer is going to step forward. We honor the Brookline Economic Development Advisory Board for their work in helping to inform Brookline businesses about our age-friendly business campaign and encouraging businesses to join the campaign. So here is the board, Paul. Thank you so much. And finally, we're giving the award also to the Coolidge Corner Merchants Association, and with very similar text. And we need somebody. David Lashinsky is going to step forward and receive this on behalf of the Coolidge Corner Merchants Association. David encouraged me to step forward and have this picture taken with me. So thank you, David.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so that completes this portion of the program, and Matt comes back to the microphone.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, Paul, you've got the first seat. I'm going to ask a few other people to come up before I introduce them. Why don't we have David? Can you come back now that you put your plaque down?
Now I have my water.
Okay. Catherine, where? Oh, there you are. You're in the back. And Kyle. Kyle, you're here?
Oh, here. Nice.
Okay, this is the meat of the program. It's an opportunity both to hear from three areas of age-friendly businesses and the particular people and the particular businesses that are represented at the table. I'll tell you who they are. And in addition to that, we have Paul Sainer from the, as I said, the Economic Development Advisory Board. Paul's a 30-year resident of Brookline. He's a co-chair of the board with Ann Myers, and he's been on the board since 1995. And welcome, Paul. All right, let me go on and introduce everybody first. The EDAB itself works with businesses in town to improve development and develop commercial areas of various types, promoting the vitality in those areas, and supporting small businesses, making them more attractive and more for Brookline, basically. Then we've got Catherine Tolman. Catherine represents the Coolidge Corner Theater. She's the executive director since 2013. 8 years she was on the board of Coolidge Corner Theater. And the only thing the best example is when Catherine came from Detroit, she said that Coolidge was her first friend when she moved to Brookline, and obviously it's still a long-lasting friend.
And I lived on 50 Winchester Street.
You're from Detroit.
Representing finance, so that's entertainment and community. I think we all represent community, but representing finance, we have Kyle Perzanowski. He's the manager of the Coolidge Corner branch of the Brookline Bank. One of a number of branches. There's a branch in Brookline Village, Longwood at St. Mary's, the Longwood branch, Washington Square, Putnam Circle, we cover the South too, and Chestnut Hill. And that's, he represents finance. Finally, representing retail in a very interesting way is Dave Lashinsky, who was here a minute ago. He is Eureka Puzzles. 14 years, I think we all know Eureka Puzzles. 14 years in the Beacon Street area. And his comment that I think represents Eureka Puzzles is think and have fun. And you do both, I think, in his store. The idea is we're going to have a set of panelists. I'm going to take, do I get a chair or not? I guess not. Right?
Yes, a chair. Yes, a chair.
I'm standing.
Please.
I can look down on it. I can look down on everybody. Very rare opportunity. Welcome, Paul, Catherine, Kyle, and David. I'd like to start with David. Excuse me. I'd like to start with David. David is in the center. He's in the Coolidge Corner organization, the Merchants Organization, and Eureka is a somewhat unique store. So I'd like to start off and understand, we talk about age-friendly business, and we mean all ages. I can't think of very many things that isn't an advantage to someone who's an older adult or to someone who has special needs that isn't also an advantage and a need for everybody else. Not everybody has time to ask for it. Not everybody has time to remind businesses to do it or to make them think of it. But these people have all thought of it. David, can you talk to the fact of all ages? And anything else you want to talk about?
Can everyone hear me? Yes. There is no age limit on thinking, and there's no age limit on having fun. So if you come into Eureka, there's no real distinction. People ask me all the time, well, how old do you have to be to come to this store? Is it just for kids? Is it for adults? And what I tell them is, yeah, we have things here for kids, but we have a lot more things for adults, and we have things not for your 40s or 50s. We also have things for your 70s and 80s and 90s. It doesn't matter. The whole notion is using your mind, using your body, having a good time through what I look at as puzzle and gameplay. And what we try and do is provide merchandise that we curate that helps that. You know, when we started off in business now, which I gotta tell you is kind of amazing to me how long it was, we would bring in large format puzzles for seniors. At that time, the only jigsaw puzzles that were around that seniors would find were generally kids puzzles. And each of the manufacturers maybe had one or two in their variety. So we assembled all of them, together and had a whole section of one or two from each manufacturer, and then went back and talked to all of the manufacturers and said, look guys, I know that you say that the seniors can come in and use the kids puzzles, but number one, the themes are different. Number two, for many of them, it feels demeaning to have to pick up a kids puzzle. Many of the images work across all ages. Can you just rename them and make them so that they're much more interesting to our older adults that come in? Well, I felt that I was, bouncing my head against the wall, but over time, every single manufacturer has increased the offering they have for large format jigsaw puzzles that are terrific and fun, that have, I would say, more adult and more interesting themes. So we carry a full line of those. We carry, playing cards at all different index sizes so you can play. We have Braille cards, we have Braille dice. There's games that are available in large format that we bring in as well. But the point is, from what we're trying to do, is what actually many of the other, if not all of the other retailers try and do in this area, which is to be sensitive. Move this over a little better so I'm not hunched over. How's that? Be sensitive to the needs of our customers, and that is listening to what people want. And what we have heard over and over again from people coming in is greater choice, greater diversity, an ability to continue to enjoy the things with their friends and their families, no matter what the age is. And that's the perspective that we bring, and we continue to bring in our own merchandise selection, along with my retail colleagues also do the same thing. So I got to tell you, when Frank first came to me to talk about age-friendly initiatives in business, I was a little puzzled, because I looked at it saying, well, we kind of do this anyway, so what, doesn't that common sense? Doesn't it make sense? So I was thrilled when he then asked us, to talk with you a little bit about it. One thing I did want to say is this: after coming here and seeing this, do you guys know about the Coolidge Corner map that we put together? So I run the Coolidge Corner Merchants Association, as you guys know. I put it in my pocket to show you, it's kind of show and tell, because I have no slides. So it shows, it's basically a walking map of Coolidge Corner. What I'd like Frank to do is go through, we have all the businesses in here listed in this area that you can all walk to see if we can figure out which ones are age-friendly, and then with the next edition of the map, come out with a designation. So when you look at these,
Oh, that's
you'll
great.
know which one that makes the most sense to go for. So Frank, you have another job for me. Anyway, thank you guys. There is no limit, there's no age limit for having fun and thinking.
And you should recognize them as you walk around, because the age-friendly sticker would be on their windows, as it is on David's, for instance. But thank you, David. Kyle, thank you. All ages.
Yes.
Above a certain age, I guess. Sure.
No. We accept all ages. You can never be too young or too old to give us your money. Thank you. Appreciate that. Everyone can hear me okay? Yes. Excellent. Well, first and foremost, I'm very honored to be here representing Brookline Bank. In our branch and many of our other branches, we look at not only being age-friendly, but just being accessible to all abilities and all walks of life. And it essentially comes down to three things. One is your environment, right? The space itself, how accessible it is. Two, which I think is very important, is employee or staff awareness. Are they aware of the population? Are they aware of the needs of the population? And what are they doing to assist? And third, which I also believe is very important, is education. So as a financial institution, it's very important for us to obviously educate all of our customers, but for things such as fraud, for example, our seniors tend to be heavily targeted. So a lot of what we do in our branches is to help educate our seniors, not only about to be aware of scams, to be aware of fraud and how it happens, but to also use things like technology to make their banking easier. There's much to be said about coming into the branch, and obviously we love seeing everyone's smiling faces and having a good conversation and seeing how life is going. But it's those occasions where you can't make it into the branch for one reason or another. You're ill, there is a really bad storm. Those types of examples where, but you need to do your banking. This is where technology is your friend. Because if you can do your banking from the comfort of your home, well then that saves you a lot of time and heartache arranging a ride and doing all kinds of things, or maybe putting yourself at risk if the weather isn't going in our favor, which in New England happens a lot, of course, more often than not. So those are primarily the three things that we like to focus on. Again, it's environment, the branch environment. Is it accessible? Is it well lit? Do we have multiple levels of desks to make sure that people from all abilities have access? Is the staff aware? Can they educate? And again, I think it's super important to educate just in general, and don't be afraid of your banker. If you don't have a banker that you know by name, get one. And this is at any bank. Make sure that you have a personal relationship with your banker, so that when you do have a situation where you're in trouble or you need some really trusted advice, that you have someone that you can go to that has some credibility. So don't be afraid of the big bad bankers. We're your friends.
And I'll tell you, when you come in to walk past your ATM area and then suddenly come into this welcome area, with a conference room on one side, a bunch of people on the other. That feeling of welcome in the center of Brookline and the center of Coolidge Corner is a great feeling. So I'll just say that I was impressed with that area.
Thank you. Yes, with the space we have
And that's for all ages.
That's true.
Because it's a question of welcoming. And welcoming is one thing I, as an older adult, really look for. I really do. But at the same time, I think everybody does.
Thank you. And for those, some of you may or may not have seen our art exhibit with the turkeys in there. I highly recommend it.
Excellent.
Turkeys are your friends too.
Friends and neighbors. And Catherine, the Coolidge Corner Theater. Coolidge Corner Theater is the gathering place.
And our
It is the center of the community as far as entertainment, discussions, parties, events, etc.
Thank you, Matt. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And I have to thank my colleagues here, my co-panelists, David and Kyle, for really setting up, because as David noted, entertainment is not limited to age. I think like virtually every film we show, most films we show, are interesting to everybody of every age. I had a wonderful conversation with Roberta on my way up the stairs, who said she just enjoyed The Big Lebowski, which is just a great example of, in that film, or in the audience, there are every ages. We've sold out in the last few weeks The Wizard of Oz with grandparents and grandchildren and middle-aged people and every age imaginable. Apocalypse Now is the same thing, Roman Holiday, Lion King. So people just love the movies, and I hear so often from people who say, I came here when I was 5 years old, and now I'm bringing my grandchildren here. And I think that's really such an important thing that the Coolidge offers, that it's just been a community gathering place for 85 years. It was certainly, as Matt said, when I first moved here, it was the first, I didn't know anybody here, I moved here for a job. I found the Coolidge, and that's kind of where I went. That's where I still like to go. So I think the product, I think in terms of accessibility for all ages, it's product, and we have, many of you know, we have box office babies. On a Friday morning, you'll see a lobby full of strollers. We have kids shows on Saturdays with live performances. We have a Science on Screen Junior program where we've had things like an author, and then have shown Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and talked about the impact of rainforests on chocolate production. We have a rewind series that we developed specifically for 20-somethings that targets films in the 80s. And it sells out every time. It sells out, they always come late. It's kind of interesting. And we knew that we had to have a social event attached to that, so we have a party, after party at Osaka, a very good neighbor for us. And so now we have those people coming in saying, I never saw this movie on a big screen. This is great. Then we have midnights, we have outdoor screenings, we have operas and dance. So we really, in terms of product, we try, and I think we succeed. I don't look at, I just came back from the Toronto Film Festival, I saw 24 films. I honestly don't think of any of those films as, what age bracket is this for? I think about, is this a good film? Is it interesting? Is it going to expand somebody's thought process and their knowledge of the world? And is it going to inspire conversation? So, thank you for that. Yes, you're never too old or too young to think. The physical environment, I have to say Kyle has a big advantage, because the last time I was there, and I'm happy to see that Kyle is my personal banker for the theater, and he's awesome. And it is great to run down there and say, hey, we need this. But the last time I was there, he had a dog in front of the door the whole time. This wonderful, wonderful dog. And so, I mean, like, really? That makes things pretty appealing. So in terms of, I think physical environment is clearly important. Obviously, we comply with elevator requirements, handicap restrooms, but we also made a big investment last year in assistive technology for hearing and visualization for people who have problems with vision. I have some handouts on that in terms of what the technology is, but it's you can either amp up a hearing aid, or we have new devices that you can park in a cup holder, and you get subtitles like you're at the opera. So if you're hard of hearing, many of us do that. I do that at home with a foreign film, like an English accent film or something. I'll look at the subtitles. and also visualization, so we can have a narrator if the film is produced that way, and most of the new films are. So, so we try to provide the physical environment. Anyone here who's been to the theater will know and will share my personal frustration with the fact that we don't have a big lobby. We can't have people come into the lobby, so we do have some constraints there. The atmosphere, I think we try to offer a welcoming atmosphere. I think we're probably the only theater, other than maybe the Brattle in Cambridge, that I can imagine that actually recognizes many or most of its customers when they come in, because everybody comes in frequently, and our box office staff has been there for a long time. So I hope that we are more patient. I know our office staff upstairs spends a lot of time on the phone helping people through internet transactions, and you know, it's just part of what we do. We have a membership program. Many of you are members, thank you. So members get discounts. We offer senior membership program discounts, and then on Wednesdays we have $6 films for seniors, and I hope many of you take advantage of that. So we're doing what we can. We have challenges. We are always open to input, and we're just delighted to be a key part of this community, in a place where everybody has gathered for a long time and will continue to do so.
I'm going to jump ahead because I was going to ask Catherine this, and she answered it ahead of time. I was going to ask about people with special needs, and what do you do about that? I think, and Paul, you had some opinions, I think, on that, on what should be available. I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak.
Sure.
I know you're not a store, and you're not an age-friendly business, but you're an age-friendly department.
I'd like to start a little bigger picture, if I could, Matt, than specifics around special needs. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm joined by the Economic Development Advisory Board co-chair, Ann Myers, our extraordinary Economic Development Director, Kara Bruton, and the newest member of our team, Trevor Johnson, our Economic Development Planner. The theme of tonight is, when you boil it down, that age-friendly business is good for people of all ages, and it's good for the bottom line. There is a very interesting byproduct that is a result of BCAN sponsoring tonight's event. Ann Myers and I bought lunch downtown for the executive director of an extraordinary international nonprofit that's Boston-based called the Institute for Community Inclusion. We had done a little research around what was in the public realm around sort of guidelines or practical tips on ways to make the retail experience more pleasurable for people of all abilities. And there was very little in the public realm. So we asked the Institute for Community Inclusion on a pro bono basis to put together a guideline, which we received earlier this week, of age-friendly inclusion in the retail space. It's a 5-page document, and Ann had an opportunity yesterday to introduce that to the Coolidge Corner Merchants Association. We're looking forward to getting feedback from them, and we're then going to be distributing this town-wide. So I want to thank BCAN and Frank Caro for the great work that you do on behalf of Brookline residents, and in particular for tonight's theme. And we're very excited about this guideline that we think will increase access for everyone in Brookline. The other thing I want to mention up front is since the year 2000 through 2016, the last year that we have census data, the number of individuals over the age of 60 in Brookline grew 34%. There's now 12,500, and I turned 60 in that time frame, so I'm doing my part. And that represents a little more than 20% of all individuals in Brookline. So 34% growth over 16 years. Going forward through 2025, it is estimated that there will be 14,700 of us, so about another 20% increase. So clearly, seniors are a significant and growing demographic force in this town. And a lot of you want to age in place, and a huge part of that is living near an urban area and being able to get what you want when you need it in a convenient way. And I'm delighted by this program, and I do believe that these guidelines will inure to the benefit of everyone in town. Perhaps a little later, Matt, I'll have a chance to talk about issues from my perspective as a person with a disability.
Actually,
Want to do it now?
Yeah.
yeah, why don't you do that now? We're running,
Okay.
well, it's all right, I don't mind running late, but
So I'm going
I'd like to hear.
to camp on a couple of the items in this checklist. I happen to be legally blind, and I have been so since the age of 36. And for a number of years, I went way out of my way to hide that. So you retailers need to understand that there's a real issue around disclosure, and when someone comes into your store, you don't necessarily know what their special challenges might be. There were a number of incredibly practical tips for somebody with low vision, which at one time I had. Simple things like contrast on stairs or changes in elevation. Ideally, white stripping to label the front of every stair. Even with my limited vision, that is still extraordinarily helpful to me. Using or having, especially in larger stores, magnifying glasses for patrons to be able to read the fine print on an item that they're considering procuring. Those are just obviously large font, especially on menus. Special lighting in restaurants is always very, very helpful. And frankly, just a courteous customer service person asking if the patron might need help accessing the menu or the items in your store. So those are just some of my experiences as somebody with a special need.
So I think, we ought to open it up in case there's some questions from the audience, because we said we'd be done at 7, so we can start at 7. It's a good time. So I just...
And there's something I'd like to add, one thing, by the
Absolutely.
way. So something that Kyle was saying earlier about the importance of knowing your banker. My mother spent the last 8 to 10 years of her life at 100 Center Street. And she got to know her bankers. And one of them was Lisa Clark over at Brookline Bank. Once she passed, and we needed an enormous amount of help guiding us through the process of what to happen next, what I can say is the fact that she knew her banker made it a lot easier for me as her child to help pick up the pieces and figure out what to do. So that was something very, very valuable and important, lesson for me that I took that I'm happy to share with you. And Brookline Bank is terrific.
Thank you.
As is, by the way, the other banks in town.
Okay, do we have any questions? If not, I will, but I prefer to hear from the audience. Yes, please.
I thought that in Village Corners was trying to expand its space so it actually gets lobby. Have you started that campaign?
Oh, thank you so much for asking that question. The question was whether there was some understanding that the theater was trying to expand and in that process add a lobby, and what's the status of that. We've been in the quiet phase, the initial phase of an expansion program for some time. We did go to the town of Brookline and get approval, 176 to 2, I might add, which must be like the only time this ever happened, for easements and air rights to build the expansion the way we conceived it. I can tell you what it involves and then tell you where we are. So we would go on the back of the building next to CVS. So the entrance would move to the back of the theater. There'll be a lobby where you can buy tickets inside, buy concessions inside without lining up the stairs. And then there'll be another 150-seat theater upstairs. And then on the third floor, another 50-seat theater, and something that's really important to me and is really important to a lot of people that hear about it, an education center, because we see so much demand and interest in film education, and I see the pool just such an important gathering place, and being able to go there and have a film class and have that to do in the evening is something I would like to do and something that we really want to expand. So, so that's the plan. We're very excited about it. We are still in the kind of the quiet phase of a campaign, but we are planning to go public in the near term. Generally, and if anyone is familiar with the capital campaign would know that you have to raise a certain amount of money to make sure you've really got some legs under you before you can go out to the public and say we're doing this. We're pretty close to making a public announcement on that and then starting to raise funds at a public level. We've secured a number of large gifts, and so I can just say stay tuned. We hope that later this year we're actually making a public announcement about that campaign. It won't happen as fast as, it's never happening as fast. People always say, when will it be done? And I can always say like 2 years ago. But thank you for asking that. We're very excited about that. I mean, I don't like to see people wait outside in the rain. I don't like to have people here that they can't come in and sit down. So thank you for asking.
You do know you're on TV, right?
Good, that's fine. We're like doing the quiet public now.
Yeah, you heard it here.
Well, we'll certainly be looking to everybody for their support, and that's what's been there all along for that theater, and that's what will grow it in the future.
Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question for Kyle from Brookline Bank. You talked about technology. Does the bank have the classes to teach people how to use online banking? Because it's not that easy. It would be wonderful that you in the community would have there if you had classes for people of how to use online banking.
And that's a great question. So the question is, does Brookline Bank put on classes to teach the technology that we talked about for banking? So and that's an excellent question. The short answer is no. But I would definitely be looking to, if there's enough public demand to do that. Obviously, we do it with our customers individually as they come in. I walk many of my customers through the entire process from start to finish. Show them how to set it up, pay a bill, etc. But if there's definitely enough public interest, I'd love to do it as an event at the bank and have a crowd and do some Q&A. So thank you for the question. So if it seems like I get a lot of head nods, all right, so it looks like this is something I should be doing publicly, okay. but the short answer is yes, we educate our customers from start to finish for that process.
Kyle, we can take this offline, but just on that note, while we're busy starting in the afternoon, forward in the mornings, we could certainly offer a 45-seat theater, 200-seat theater, so you could accommodate a bigger class, because that's a really important thing to do.
Thank you.
That's
And that way I can send my husband and he can stop saying I don't understand how to do that.
There's the ulterior motive, okay.
I love
Thank
people
you,
that
that's
care
great.
about the community. Is there any other questions? We're getting late, but I'll take another one. If there's one more. Has to be a good one, though. Okay, I guess, well, I could.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
If I turn this around, do you see as businesses any responsibility or any interest in improving the public realm in front of your businesses? So, in other words, you all have a sidewalk in front of it. Do you see any benefit of improving that or making suggestions to the town?
So
That's what's in front of you.
So I'm gonna address that. This is David from, I'm now putting my hat on the Coolidge Current Merchants Association on my head for the moment. And the question is, do we as businesses see any obligation to report back to the town, if I understand you correctly, about things that would help improve the lives of everyone in town?
Yes.
Is that correct? So I would definitely say the answer to that is that we as businesses work very closely with the town to help shape the environment that we're all in. So for instance, if you've noticed the cafe tables that have sprung up, I can't tell you the number of seniors and young people, and people with children and people without, that will regularly stop. They're tired, they want to have a, they want to take a break, they want to sit down for a minute, and there are these nice inviting cafe tables. So that's something, as a partnership that grew out of discussions that Kara and I had a number of years ago, and then she helped facilitate what had to happen at the town hall side, and I helped work on what had to happen at the merchant side to be able to increase the numbers of tables and the places that are hosting them. So that's just one example of a partnership. There are definitely other places, that we've spoken to them about. And the issue is that if you're dealing with real construction and infrastructure, some of these things get noted and, they'll get addressed at some point. It's not as easy to address as rearranging an aisle, right? But it is something that is important and does bubble up. So that's, so speaking about it from, somebody who's on the front line, who hears from customers, who hears from all of my fellow merchants about frustrations or issues, the answer very much is yes. We look at this as an ongoing partnership, and as Paul mentioned, there's an increasingly large senior population. It's our customer base. It's something we want to take care of them and have them take care of us.
Yeah, I will say.
From one point, talking from the Chamber of Commerce standpoint, we also were involved with the community. We talked to the town, and there's different conversations that I had with the business district and with the layout of where the restaurants are going to be, and we work with economic development in the town and some of the select action committees to be able to come up with good constructive conversations and plans so that it's friendly not only to just regular customers but to seniors and people with different types of challenges. So those conversations are happening. They may not be as overtly happening right in front of you, but a lot of these conversations happen on a weekly and monthly basis to be able to make things better for people in Brookline.
Thank you.
Well, I think I'm going to draw a close. I'd like to ask you just for a few minutes to hang around in case people want to walk up and have individual questions, if you can, if you're available. I will say, by the way, places to sit is one of my prime demands, and I love the Coolidge Corner tables and chairs. I love it. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And, oh, I'm sorry. We can't end. There's money involved.
Oh, yes.
I bought a ticket. Wait a minute.
There's always a prize.
Karen Fisher, who has been working hard all night, would like to draw the raffle. You didn't buy one, right? You should try. Yeah. Absolutely, but I'll hold it for you.
Dig deep.
I'm digging deep. Who has ticket number 247 8277?
Okay, we have a winner. And a big pile of tickets in here, which is good too. Yeah, bring it up. Let's validate. Trust but verify.
Okay, just keep it on.
Thank you, everybody. And as I said, if you want to stop by and ask a question, please do.